On to our next agenda item. What is PHI? PHI stands for Protected Health Information. It includes individually identifiable health information held or transmitted by a covered entity or its business associate in any form or medium, whether electronic, on paper, or oral. It is information, including demographic information, which relates to the individual's past, present, or future physical or mental health or condition, the provision of health care to the individual, or the past, present, or future payment for the provision of health care to the individual, and that identifies the individual or for which there is a reasonable basis to believe can be used to identify the individual. It includes common identifiers such as name, address, birth date, or social security number when it can be associated with the health information of the individual. It also includes other identifiers that you may not think much about, such as vehicle identification numbers, license plate numbers, web URLs, and medical device serial numbers. If it can be tied to treatment information, it is considered PHI. Best practices is that if you received it from a covered entity, if you are accessing it at a covered entity or through a covered entity's system, if it is at all related to an individually identifiable patient, flip the thought process. Rather than think about whether it is protected, think about why it's not. If it's not perfectly clear, assume that it is protected under HIPAA. Involve others in the decision-making process if you feel you need to use the information for purposes outside of what you are authorized to do for your job. And remember that HIPAA applies to PHI in any medium, including electronic, paper, and verbal. Contact your manager or supervisor if you're not certain whether the use is allowed. As always, you can contact the Chief Privacy Officer at privacy@uvm.edu if it's still unclear. That concludes what is PHI. Next up, what is a covered entity?